Monique, Club Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe has now cemented itself, I would say, as one of those places that you go to, you want to be seen, and he got the viewers. And if them ads that I see on YouTube have anything to do with it, he's definitely doing numbers, because those ads are like the longest ads I've ever seen on YouTube videos. It's like, am I watching Hulu or what? Because normally it's like 10 seconds, and then 5 of that seconds in, they'll be like, do you want to skip? Not on Club Shay Shay. Them shits are like a minute and a half, and you can't skip it. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So fast shouts to Shannon Sharpe, because you're doing something right that YouTube feels the need to put hour-long ads on your videos. But I digress. We'll talk about Monique and her sit down. I think this is probably going to be up in the same area as the Cat Williams interview. Cat Williams interview, I think, is sitting right now, last time I checked, at like 58 million views, and it's been only a month or a little less than a month. Monique is currently sitting at 10 million views, and it's only been 4 days. So it's moving on up. And why? Because Monique has some things to get off her chest. We already know a lot of the major things that she was going to touch on, right? The Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry issue that she had with them, that long-standing situation. She also talked about Kevin Hart. That was something that was new and surprising to me. She talked about Tiffany Haddish. And she just talked about the plight of what she had to go through being who she is. Heavyset Black woman in film, and the disrespect that may come along with that, right? So starting right off with the Oprah and Tyler Perry and that issue she has with them, and basically wanting them to, what she say, take accountability for how she feels they've wronged them. What was your takeaway from that, Rell?
I had a lot of takeaways, actually.
You could dive in it too. Like, don't
let's
let me.
see.
Like,
let's see.
You could dive in it.
So, well, first off, I must be honest. Like, when this first came about, the issue that is, I kind of, and I must apologize to Monique, because I didn't hear her, right? I wasn't listening to her. I would get snippets like of, like what she said, because I'm one of those people. I really, honestly, I don't care, because it's not my life, right?
Right.
It's not my life, so I don't really follow these celebrities and the things that they're going through and what they're experiencing. So I didn't really get a whole, lot into or dive deep into what was happening. However, and I can say I may have, joined the bandwagon with, oh, well, Monique must be feeling some kind of way, maybe she's bitter, I kind of joined in that, I must say, and I apologize for that. But this go around, I took the time to listen to her, and listening is important. And I heard her. We as individuals have, I'm sure, been in experiences and situations where we've been wronged or we felt wrong by an individual or entity or organization of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
It is not wrong for us to feel like we want that individual who has wronged us to take accountability for wronging us. What I can say, she has, every time she tells the story is the same. It does not change.
Right.
It does not change. And this has been years now. It does not change. It does not veer off. You don't hear something new. You may gain clarity, right? Because she may go in a little deeper into the story and tell you some things that you're like, oh, okay. This go round, when I listened to her, and of course she spoke about the Taraji Henson situation, and comparing the two, because we as the people viewing this from the outside, we're like, oh, well, this is the same thing she was saying, that Taraji saying that Monique said. And we question, well, why was it accepted? Why were people rallying behind Taraji and they didn't rally behind her? What she pointed out was very interesting to me. She pointed out two things. She said that, one, she named names, meaning Monique. Monique
Right.
named names. She called individuals out.
Right.
Taraji, however, didn't call anyone out. She then also pointed out that Taraji cried and broke down. So that appeared to the people. And we those of us who are compassionate, that tugs at our hearts, right? When we see a woman crying, like, oh my gosh, she's hurt. She's really, really hurt. What can we do to mend the hurt? However, when Monique presented this, there was no crying, right? She had her shoulders back. She had her head up, her chin up, and she was strong. So we may have perceived that as her being cocky or arrogant and like, oh, well, she don't seem like bothered. But that doesn't mean that she wasn't hurt. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that she wasn't affected, right? And how the lens in which we viewed it. The next thing that I agree with her in terms of truth telling, right? I think that this world would be a better place if we could just deal with the truth. But my mother always told me that the truth hurts. And people don't like the truth because the truth can be uncomfortable. My mother used to say that a lie will go further than the truth, and that's because it sounds so juicy. That it sounds better in the ear. We're going to believe that because the truth is boring, right? She would say the truth is boring to a lot of people, so it doesn't sound good. But if we add a little something to it, or we leave a little something off, that makes it more interesting, and then we'll go along with that. We can rally behind that lie. My question is, why not? Why can't, again, and not to say that they're religious, right? Oprah and Tyler, but they speak a lot about spirituality. They speak a lot about the good in people and people's character and so forth. Tyler Perry has gone on John Osteen, who is a pastor who has this huge, huge following. And if you are one of those spiritual people, as I am, the word, which I call it the Bible, tells you, if you have wronged your brother and or sister, go to them and make it right.
To your other point with what she was saying regarding Taraji didn't name names, and in general, Monique was saying that's the issue a lot of people took with her being a messenger, because she named names and she was on some like how dare you say our like heroes' names, etc. So that's why a lot of people didn't take what she was saying at the time, despite her having this recording she says she has where she says Tyler owned up and basically said that he made up whatever, and she wants him to say that, I guess, publicly. And a lot of people are just focusing on the fact that she recorded him and how it's illegal in certain states for you to record conversations without people knowing, versus the fact of what she's saying he actually said on the recording. And she's basically saying Tyler cost her like millions of dollars. She was making X amount of millions per year. And once it came out that she was so-called difficult to work with, who's going to want to work with somebody that they feel is difficult to work with? So she felt he cost her money, and she wants him to, take accountability, and she wants to be paid. In a nutshell, she wants Tyler to cut the check and to make up for the money she lost at what she says is at the expense of his words.
Right.
And we didn't hear the tape, but she sent it to a few different people who have vouched that that's what they heard on this tape. So we could only go by what they're saying, and is definitely right. It's not right if you have taken accountability on the call to her privately, then I think it shouldn't be nothing for you to do it publicly.
I do want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
There is a tape out there with Tyler Perry's audio. It's been out actually for many years. And he was not aware that he was being recorded, which I'm kind of torn on that, about him not being aware of that, even though it's legal for her to have recorded him. And I understand why she said she recorded him, because she just wanted to have the proof, just in case people questioned her. But,
Right.
you know, this is still a man that you're friends with, and you're recording him without his knowledge. That's a little iffy in my book. But when you listen to the recording, honestly, when I first heard the recording, like I said, a few years ago, I actually was impressed with Tyler Perry, because he came off as a man who genuinely wanted to make things right with Monique. The conversation did go left. The conversation did go left, and it's available on YouTube because the story is out again. People have reposted this conversation. Now, I hope you all can listen to it, because I'm really trying to hear in that conversation Tyler Perry directly say that he stopped or told people to not work with Monique. I didn't quite hear that from him. What I heard from him was a man saying that it was difficult to help produce the movie Precious. And yes, Monique was a part of that difficulty in terms of her not wanting to do the press, et cetera. But he, in essence, was saying he just did not have a good experience producing that film. And in conversation with people about it, he did say, yeah, that was a difficult experience. Now, I guess with him saying that implies that it's difficult to work with Monique, but I don't know if there's more to this conversation. There, you know, there may be parts of the conversation that has not been made public. Maybe he did say something directly, and like you all are saying, maybe Monique shared that part of the conversation with people that she's doing interviews with. But with what I heard that the public has heard, I'm just hearing a man that was frustrated during that time, and he may have grouped her in that because of that frustration, and he's just trying to make it right. And I actually kind of felt bad for him, because he's sitting here trying to make things right with Monique and her husband. And yes, I understand their side of things. They're hurt, they're losing money, and they kind of went after him on that. But I don't know if there's a true villain in that situation. It's just a matter of, how can we make this right? And they just couldn't come to that agreement. But I do think that Monique expected Tyler to back her up publicly, and he didn't do that. And I think that has also rubbed her the wrong way. So, you know, we're just dealing with people in their relationships. And, you know, Tyler has a right, as people say, to change his mind. He may have thought about it and said, you know, I don't know if I fully agree with everything. And he really may not agree with it now, because he was recorded without his knowledge. So,
but he did acknowledge that what happened to her was wrong.
Right. And that may be what she's really trying to, you know, but but people are running with this thing of he admitted to blackballing her or telling people not to work with her. I didn't quite hear that, but like I said, maybe I need to hear it again, or maybe there's something missing. But yeah, but he did admit that what happened to her in terms of, I guess, missed opportunities, or even her not wanting to go promote the film. I think he agreed with her, like what she did was not wrong or whatever. Like he, in other words, he agrees with her wanting to get paid fairly. But in the conversation, this is again why I feel like Tyler's a good dude. He was actually trying to give her tips on how to better her career, how to get back on top. So, you know, he was not coming at all with any kind of, shade or, you know, trying to stop her bag or stop her career. He was actually trying to help her. But, you know, I guess just in terms of communication and he also has his own relationships that he has to protect, because she did ask him about Oprah, and he's like, look, I can't speak for Oprah. And that's one of his close friends. So, you know, there's just a lot of sensitivity there, but just wanted to point that out just for those who may be listening who did hear that audio. But that's my thought on it. But hopefully you guys can hear it and maybe come back and talk about it.
I definitely would love to hear it. I agree with what you said though, and listening and being able to listen to that to kind of gather whether or not that was directly said or not. But when you mentioned maybe people are taking it, in fact, that it was implied that she was difficult, kind of saying, blanketly saying like it was difficult producing it, kind of implies, and her being a part of the production and so forth, and because the conversation is with her, kind of implies that she was difficult too. You know, we hear different
Right.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know how like how far he may have gone in those conversations. You know, they may have asked for more, you know, who you know how people talk, you know, he may have
Yeah.
just given some stuff, but yeah, I overall, I just got the impression that that was just a difficult experience for Tyler. And like you said, it just may have implied Monique, and he just didn't clear that up. And maybe she's expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out like 50 Cent even said, even if Tyler never said directly don't work with Monique, him also not saying to work with her says a lot too.
I agree.
And I agree with that as well.
I agree with that as well. Because again, you're a prominent figure in the industry.
Yeah.
And so what you say and or don't say can be a problem. And I think that's the angle in which Monique too is coming from. Like, even if he didn't directly say or tell anyone not to work with her, him not saying also that she's okay to work with is still a hindrance because she's worked with them, right? So yeah, I agree with that as well. There was something else that Stacey brought up too that she talked about in terms of relationships to protect, right? She kind of talked about that, right? Where we would be, a lot of us are scared to say things that we feel are going to hinder us in our plight, right? From what we're doing on our end. And so even if we know the truth about something, we won't say it. She kind of displayed that even in the interview with Shannon, where she would say, well, Shannon, well, what did you say? What do you think? And Shannon was kind of reluctant to say because he may feel like this may, you know, either tarnish a relationship that he may either try to build or, you know, try to bring about. So he was very careful in how he responded to a lot of the things that Monique would bring about.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where why a lot of people don't speak up and come forward when they're wronged, or they just take the disrespect, whatever way it may be coming at them, and they just feel like, you know, I gotta feed my family, I gotta keep this job, so I'm gonna just take it. I'm gonna just, you know, but Monique is standing on business, as they say these days, standing on business. And like, she just wants to be treated like fairly and equally. Like when this whole thing first came out, she said she completed all of her contractual obligations for that movie, up, like she did everything she needed to do. The issue only came up once they wanted her to do something that she wasn't scheduled to do, and they wasn't trying to pay her to do it. And it's like, how y'all looking at her sideways for not wanting to work for free, in a nutshell? Like,
which was
just
they wanted
because
her to
this
promote
big
it.
company now took it over, and now they want her to go across seas, like, and the only compensation was, oh, we'll send you to, what she said, Paris or something. She gave some vacation they were trying to offer her and an upgrade to her room. And it's like, I still got to feed my family. Like, this is not what I was contractually obligated to do. And now all of a sudden, all of this comes out. And it's like, that's not right. That's not right. And she expecting people like with the big names, like the Oprahs and Tylers and stuff, to, I guess have her back more in that, but it kind of just all went south and left, and now we got this beef,
Well,
so to say, with
again,
them.
it goes back to relationships. Those people felt like their relationships with the other entities were more important than
It was seemed,
that relationship with Monique, essentially. Right.
is wild. So the, like, even I don't want to stay on this too much longer, but the Kevin Hart part, that was surprising to me, and that comes into thought of, it seems like if what Monique is saying is true, it comes off as Kevin's management, who was a white man, I understand it, was like making decisions for Kev in a sense, and maybe overstepping or maybe getting in Kevin air even on some like, nah, that's not gonna be good business to work with her, because he made a one-on-one agreement with her for what he was planning to do with her, and then all of a sudden that fizzled, and then she hasn't heard from him. You know, it's like who was behind that? Was the people, you know? Someone pointed out it's likely back to the business relationships again, but it's like
exactly
at some point you got to have like some, I guess, integrity and just like being able to like stand on stuff so that it doesn't happen more into other people in the future. Like,
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know.
Especially in that case where that had, according to Monique, we don't know what that conversation was like, but according to her, and of course we haven't heard from Kevin Hart as to the interworkings of that conversation. But according to Monique, like you said, he agreed upon some things to work with her on, and said that his people will be in touch. Well, you got in touch, and it was a no-brainer. It was a done deal. And she heard from his management in terms of that. And so you're right. And it becomes a thing where you got to stand on. My mother said, your word is your bond. So you got to stand on your word. You gave Monique a word. If this is true, you gave Monique a word, stand on the word. But again, it goes back to business relationships. That management felt like that's not a good look. That's not going to be good for business. And at the end of the day, it's about your overall business, the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that business relationship was more important.
To the point of how Lee Daniels, so would you would say, Monique would say, made it right. And he, you know, he apologized or whatever he did. And now they're back working together. They did a new film together and all of that. And it's like, can't we all just get along? Can't we? Everything can be fixed at the end of the day.
It can.
So
I agree.
What would it take for them to fix this? And for Monique, it's accountability on their end. And I don't know if it needs to be publicly or if they could sit down privately and do it, but I just think that they need to have a conversation, because come on, like it's no reason for this to linger on this long. And Monique is doubling down, apparently. Like she's on this tour now with Cat Williams. She made that announcement that she's on this tour with Cat Williams, and people said she issued an apology on stage. And then when you watch the video, it's like, oh shit, like I don't think this is really an apology. I feel like she's doubling down. So she said, I was wrestling with myself today in that hotel because I knew I had to give an apology. She said, Brother Greg Mathis, I heard you. I heard you, Stephen A. Smith. When I have communicated something wrong, I'm going to say sorry, and I'm going to own what I said. And people applauding. They like, yeah, come on. And then she said, Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, I want to apologize for telling y'all to suck my, because I forgot to tell y'all to lick the nuts that came with them.
Wow.
What? Like, Monique,
wow.
what? Now Tyler ain't gonna be so quick to get on this call now, because you just doubled down. So we might need a couple of more months to pass for this to die down, and then maybe we could discuss fixing this. Because after that, and I know when you're on stage, you know, you the juice is going, you feeling it. So, and not literally, but you know, you hype, you amped up. So you're gonna say things, and she said that.
This is what I think, and this is the last thing I'm comment on it. This is what I think should happen. It's like at any times, I don't know, have you ever been at odds with a friend or not? And maybe there's a mutual friend between the two of you. And she pointed this out too in the interview. There's a mutual friend in between the two. There has to be a mediator, right? That's neutral, that sees both sides, right? And that could put it all into perspective. So, but both parties can hear how the other has been affected. And then the two come together with that mediator to say, hey, this is how you hurt this person, this is how you hurt the other person. And then we could come to an agreement and make this right. But this has to be made right. Right.
Yeah. And that's basically what she said happened with T.S. Madison and her fixing the relationship with her and Lee Daniels, because T.S. Madison is cool with Lee Daniels. So she made the call and then all is well. But at the same time, the people themselves got to be open to fixing it. Because I've been in that situation. I'm sure you've been in that situation where you try to mediate, but the person that you're talking to is just so stuck and like, nah, F that, like I ain't with it. They just not in that place to get there yet. So they got to be there as well. And because Monique mentioned people made calls to, I want to say she meant to Tyler, right? That knew him.
I'm not sure if they.
She said that he said he didn't want to revisit it or whatever. He didn't want.
Right. Yeah.
That was Tyler,
yes,
right?
You are
yeah.
Correct.
So
correct.
I guess the person got to be in that
willing
mind
and ready.
Yeah, they got to be willing. They got to be ready, right? So hopefully one day, sooner than later, Tyler and Oprah are ready. And Monique is ready, and they could come to an agreement. And because it's beautiful magic to be made out here. Like with Monique is a great actress. She's a funny comedian. Oprah does great work. Tyler does great work. And it's like, we could just come together. Precious was so epic. Monique won a damn Oscar for it. That's a good combination, right? So like, let's just fix it. At the end of the day, let's fix it. Let's fix it. That's how we're gonna end that in this Monique discussion. Let's fix it. But it's Super Bowl Sunday, if you care. And I'm just here for Usher at the end of the day. I feel salty, even still, after all these years of how the NFL did Colin Kaepernick. And I still feel a way about it. I haven't forgotten. And if it was up to me, I would not watch. I don't care to watch the game. Like I would turn on the halftime show when it's time, or I will watch the halftime show on YouTube as I've done in the past. I'm just here to support.
How can we make it right with you?
Let's talk about the NFL. I'm ready to make it right. The NFL has not made it right with Colin. They've wronged him, and he is, even last I've known, which was last year sometime, he's still in shape, ready and willing, and present himself to teams. And people are like, you just spoke about, these relationships, I guess, are bigger than that or the politics of it all. And they're not looking to give him the time of day to do what he loves and is physically able to still do. He's still in top shape. So
top shape. Until
they write that, I'm gonna feel the way I feel about the NFL. And Jay-Z being a part of it, and that the entertainment aspect and whatever other aspect he's a part of it is not enough. As much of a fan I am of Hov, it's not enough for me to feel like, NFL. Like, nah, it's not. So they got to do right by Colin. And until then, I can't get jiggy with it. So it's Team Usher for the night. I was fortunate enough to go see him in Vegas, and that's why I'm able to confidently say your man's puts on the show. If you don't know, now you know. And if you're watching this on YouTube and the Super Bowl already happened, I'm just gonna go out and say Usher bodied it. I would just say that. Speaking of the Super Travis Kelce was hot in these blogs because of an article New York Times put out that said that Travis Kelce reinvented, revolutionized, made popular again the fade. And it said something like, not since Jennifer Aniston has a hairstyle become so popular, how barbers across the world are being bombarded, inundated, they said, with requests for the Travis Kelce. When I first read that article, bruh, that blew mine. That blew mine for the whole month. Cause I'm like, what? Like the Travis Kelce, like, do y'all not know what a fade is? Like, do y'all not like, but that just what made me tight. And I posted videos about this on my Instagram. Maybe we'll put it in here or something. But what made me tight the most is historically, mainstream publications do this. Historically, they take things that were or are from Black culture, and when a white person or someone rocks it or wears it, they put them as the person who is popularizing it. And it's like a big deal now because someone's wearing XYZ. So when you think of Bo Derek, that movie she was in, she had those braids with the beads and the
cornrows,
the post about it, the media at the time, the Bo Derek braids. And now all these women are getting the Bo Derek braids. And it's like, what? Like, and then more recently, it was the they had it with the so-called boxer braids where you get the two braids back. I think Kim Kardashian, may have rocked them one day, and then it was like, oh, this new trend, the boxer braids. And it's like, what? So that just blew my and made me upset because it happens time and time again.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I don't know.
And it's going to continue to happen.
What's up? Like, why?
Yeah.
I guess. So that blew mine. Travis Scott even knew, I keep saying Travis Scott. Travis Kelce even knew what was up and knew it was wrong. When they asked him about it, he's doing his press for the Super Bowl, and they asked him about the New York Times article, and he basically said, like, it's ridiculous. He said he wants no parts of it. He pointed out the fact that they posted this article on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. He said, and to post this on February 1st to throw me to the wolves like that is wild. He said, I want no part to that. He admitted, I did not create or reinvent the fade. He said, I just asked for it. And like, y'all got to do better. Y'all got to do better. And part of me feel like it was intentional, like the timing of it.
Always.
It was intentional. Like it was an intentional way to be disrespectful.
Yeah. And not only that, I feel like it's always intentional, one. And two, it's always about, at the end of the day, it's about the money. Because they know that there's a huge following for Travis Kelce, right? Mm-hmm. Just as it is with the Taylor Swift situation. And they make this spectacle of the relationship, anything involving Travis Kelce, anything involving Taylor Swift. They make this huge spectacle of it because they know that huge following is going to go out and spend the money it takes to obtain whatever it is that Travis Kelce is putting out and or Taylor Swift is putting out from our counterparts, our white counterparts. And so, yeah, it's about the money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it is major disrespect.
Yeah, it's super disrespectful. It's like y'all just forget any contributions that Black people make when y'all do things like that. It's like saying F that, like. And you got people that may not be aware of the history of the fade or of the whatever, and just trusting what you are reporting, and it's wild. I got to do better. Do better. Someone said commerce indeed. Article clicks and barbers are making money from this whole Kelce thing.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
This guy I know, I'm gonna try to pull up his comment real quick. He's probably the closest friend I have who happens to be white. And he commented on my post about Travis Kelce, and I want to point out what he said. I'm pulling it up right now. He said, when I got a fade back in the day, my uncle, who was a Marine at the time, called it a high and tight. He said, also, when I moved upstate from Queens and asked for a fade from the local barber, he had no idea what I was talking about. A friend who was visiting from Queens had to take the clippers and show him what to do. He said, a fade is not a crew cut. And it's facts. Like, it is what it is. Like, stop trying to make it seem like it's something else. Like, and that was because people was trying to say like, oh, this haircut was started in the 40s and 50s and the military. It's like,
it's like, we know they weren't fading in the military.
Cut it out.
They were simply sitting them in the chair and taking the clippers and running across their head. Nobody was fading in the
or
military.
The scissors.
Or the scissors. Like, come on.
Come on. Please stick to the scissors that you're used to. TLC said, don't go chasing. Please stick to the supercuts and the scissors that you're used to. No.
Right. Because you can't even fade on white boy's head anyway. Like,
I mean, nowadays they be doing it. They be making it work, but it ain't what y'all ain't that's not what they was doing then. Like, someone said white people have different texture hair. It won't even look like ours.
Right, it won't.
Yeah, it's facts.
And they were called, those were called buzz cuts, I believe, back then anyway. Like, when you went into the military, those were buzz cuts.
Or like my friend here said, the high and tight, they called it. The high and tight. Like, stop playing with us. But yeah, so let's move on. Last but not least, what's hot in these blogs? The Grammys happened last week, and after Jay-Z got his award, during his acceptance speech, he basically voiced his frustration about the Recording Academy in general, and basically saying like, hopefully we just want y'all to get it right. Like, we love y'all, but we just want y'all to get it right. And he pointed out the fact that Beyoncé has the most awards in the history of the Grammys and has never won Album of the Year. And he's like, to y'all own metrics, that doesn't make sense. In a nutshell, the math isn't mathing. Like, Beyoncé was, I want to say, 3 times nominated in that category. I could be wrong. I remember personally 3 times. It may have been more, but I remember 3 times Beyoncé was in that category, and she lost all 3 times. And I feel like she was robbed all 3 times. The first time, I want to say she lost to Beck. The second time she lost to Adele. And the third time she lost to what's the skinny guy name? The white guy, the pop star.
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles, yeah. So it's like the math ain't math in here. Something
so
ain't
according to what I pulled up, she was nominated 2010 for Sasha Fierce, 2015 for Beyonce, 2017 for Lemonade, and 2023
so it was 4 times. Okay, so it's 4 times. Okay,
yeah.
So I only remember the 3. I don't remember who she lost to for the Sasha Fierce, if that was the Beck time or if it was the self-titled Beyonce time. But yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody said something in the milk ain't clean. It's true. So
you were right. All of the people you mentioned is who she lost to. She lost to Taylor Swift, then she lost to Beck, then she lost to Adele, and
so Taylor was the 4th
Harry
one.
Styles. Taylor was the first one.
Yeah.
Taylor was the first one. So
well,
I'm assuming
the fourth person, because I only remember 3. So she was the fourth person, but she was actually the first one he lost to.
She lost to. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So what I read this article, it was an opinion piece by a guy named Travis Kelce for MSNBC. And it stuck out to me, and it actually brought up a good question. So he was basically saying Jay-Z's speech was bigger than Beyonce even. And I agree. He said his speech was a call to tear down the walls dividing music. He said to focus exclusively on Jay-Z's belief that his wife has been snubbed is to miss a far more important point about the Grammys, the music industry as a whole. Within his speech, he indirectly called attention to a big reason award shows such as the Grammys will always leave many artists, particularly Black ones, feeling some sort of resentment. The awards are based on the fallacy that music should be categorized. And it's hard, if not impossible, to categorize music in a way that doesn't make tired assumptions about the people recording it or the people presumed to be listening to it. He references the late composer Harold Baptiste, who Harold worked with like Ike and Tina, Sam Cooke, Sonny and Cher, just to name a few. He said Harold Baptiste said the only reason to divide music into categories is to know where to look for it in a record store. Record stores hardly exist anymore, but award shows still follow their model and decide, for example, that a certain artist is R&B, another is pop, another is country, rock, hip hop. Why does this matter for superstars like Beyonce? And there's a bunch of other artists who right now are boycotting the Grammys. Drake is one. There's a few others that's boycotting it for this very reason. Some artists feel they are miscategorized. In 2020, Tyler, the Creator, he won the Grammy for Best Rap Album. And during that, he said, it sucks that whenever we, and I mean guys that look like me, do anything that's genre bending, they always put it in a rap or urban category. Billie Eilish second that, and she did an interview with British GQ. She agreed with Tyler, and she said, don't judge an artist off of the way someone looks or how someone dresses. Wasn't Lizzo in the best R&B category that night? She said, I mean, she's more pop than I am. Billie Eilish said, look, if I wasn't white, I would probably be in rap. Just because I'm a white teenage female, I am pop. She said, where am I pop? What part of my music sounds like pop? Another reason why it matters to artists like Beyonce and Drake and the ones who feels away is because the pop and rock categories are apparently more reliable launching pads for an album of the year when Black artists won't necessarily be included in those categories, even if the music they are making fits in those categories. This article points out in 1985, the AMAs, the American Music Awards, just in that 1 year alone, they had categories like Black Male, Black Album. Prince won When Doves Cry for Black Single. Purple Rain, he won for Black Album. Lionel Richie won for Black Male. And it was only that year in 1985. And the next year after that, they went back to what it's been in 1984, the 2 years prior. And I don't know if they was just testing it out or whatever, but they went back to like, soul, R&B, shit like that. Travis Kelce, in his opinion piece, he said, it would be foolish to think that because race isn't explicitly in the names of the categories, that it doesn't remain foremost in the minds of the people who assign artists to various musical categories. He points to Jay-Z's speech, the part where he said, some of you don't belong in a category. He said, while that is true, it's even more true to say that the categories themselves don't belong. It begs it, and that when I read this opinion piece, it begs the question for me: should the Grammys and award shows get rid of categories altogether, or just revamp how they are compiled. That's
Let's do it
something
both.
to think about.
Let's do both. I mean, as a creative, no creative wants to be boxed in. So when you're boxing these artists into these quote unquote categories or genres that you've created, which is just created just to still keep the division, right? So that they know who's who, meaning us, blacks, right?
Yeah.
We keep them on one side, we keep them,
Yeah.
you know, in their respective places where they should be, and then we'll have who needs to be our white counterparts in these other areas. So yeah,
Right.
let's just do away with it all. Let's do away with it
And it's
all.
like you should judge the music based on the music, not the artist that's singing it or whatever. Like if I'm a rapper, if I do a country song, put that in a country category. Like I'm not just a rap or urban whatever just because I'm black. So another thing that this article kind of brought into question for me is the voting process for the Grammys with the Recording Academy. So apparently I learned it's like 16,000 members. It's some like, you know, wild number like that of the amount of members. And they basically, their job is to listen to the music, at least like a minute of it or something. And then they determine not only what category it goes in, but once it's in the category, then they determine what they like best out of who's in that category, right? So when you got an album like, a category like Album of the Year, which is the most coveted award of the night that everybody wants, it covers all genres, is the one category that you're gonna have the pop and the rock and everybody in there. They probably low-key take one from each thing. I never really paid attention to it like that, but it's gonna cover all genres. So these people are voting for who they feel should take home Album of the Year. And my thing is, similar to politics, you probably have people that campaign to win. And not like in public like they do in politics, but they may be behind the scenes. They may be emailing somebody. They may be making phone calls to other members in the Recording Academy, like, yo, like let's make this Harry's year. Like, come on, like da da da. They might be really back there like campaigning. And then you also, like politics, probably got some people who don't utilize their vote at all. I don't know how they get these things mailed, if they're mailed to them, if they're emailed, and they're just clicking the button to vote. But some people probably not voting either. So that's another issue, similar to politics, where it's like you ain't utilizing your vote. How you expect XYZ to win? So,
well, I actually, you're onto something with that, because I was listening to one of our local radio stations here, and the disc jockey there said that in addition to Matthew Knowles' explanation of what happened, it was said to be that there is some campaigning done, and that the disc jockey reached out to someone, and they had said to her that they responded saying, like, for instance, for Killer Mike, I think is his name.
Mike, yeah.
Killer Mike had to campaign. This is what this person told the disc jockey. He had to campaign. And so I was struck with the question as well, like, campaign? Like, why does he have to campaign in order to possibly win a Grammy? And so I then go back to Matthew Knowles' explanation, where he said that if a label has 2 or 3 individuals on the label who are vying for this coveted prize, that the label can only support and or get behind, right, one of the candidates. And like you alluded it to being very similar to our government system, right, where we have 3 candidates running for XYZ, but we can only get behind one, right? Only one makes it to the ballot. And so he was saying only one artist can make it. Only one artist can can garner the label's support. And so if we have an Adele and a Beyonce on the same level, it's only one of those individuals that they're going to be able to actually support and within this campaign. So my question was like, okay, well, does the label, so within their campaigning for this one artist that they're jumping behind, they're all, you know, rallying behind to get this coveted prize, in their campaigning, are they reaching out to the Academy members to say, hey, we would love your support, we would love your vote for Adele. We really appreciate what goes into this campaigning process. Like, are we promising things? Like, what is it that will allow, that gets my vote at the end of the day for this particular artist, especially if I'm tasked with listening to their music. And he said that something like they only get to listen to like a minute of the music or something.
And that's
like
to determine what category it goes. Yeah.
To determine what category it goes on. So even in that, I'm only listening to a minute of the song to determine what category we're putting it in. Then what else goes into me determining if you are indeed, how am I recognizing or acknowledging your whole body of work?
Yeah. Right. For album of the year.
For album of the year. Right.
Yeah. Someone said they definitely do the Oscars campaign. That makes sense too, because you've seen it. I'm sure you see billboards around or even commercials and it'd be like, for your consideration. I always wonder, like, what is that exact, like, who are y'all talking to? But I guess they are talking to the voting members for your consideration. XYZ, Black Panther or whatever. You know, I see the ads all the time. Usually for the movies, for the Oscars, it say for your consideration. We don't see it too much in music, but it's happening, and it's happening behind the scenes. And also too, to that, we still gotta know that there's the unfair aspect of it where they may not, the powers that be, the politics behind it, they may not want Beyonce to win album of the year for whatever reason, their own personal reasons. And for that reason, go even harder to campaign against her winning. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it all comes back to, and I don't like to play the race card, as they say.
I mean, sometimes
we gotta call the
sometimes
spade a spade.
The card is the card, and the spade is the spade.
The spade is a spade.
It is what it is.
I mean, we do know that all of this, right, is based on your own opinion, right? So it's subjective, of course.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the math, the numbers, and I'm looking at her being nominated 4 times, and in each of these 4 times, it always have been our white counterparts that has taken the coveted prize at the end of the day. And I've listened to these people's body of work, and we say that, oh, it's supposed to be, I've heard some people say, well, how impactful was it, right? Well, that in itself is subjective, because what may be impactful to you may not be impactful to me, right?
And you also got to think that because it's subjective, that some people don't even listen to certain types of music. Some people don't even like certain artists just because. We heard a story of someone saying they didn't like Usher, and it's like, for what reason, right? So imagine that person being in the academy, they might not vote for Usher because they just don't like him for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
So you got a whole, let's just take the country artists, for example, who you may have some of them in there who hates hip hop, who hates R&B, who don't even bother to even give it a time of day, who look at Beyonce like, people always like thinking she the SHIT and she ain't nothing, like, I don't like her, blah, blah, blah. And for that reason, purposely is not gonna vote for her.
Nope.
And it's not, it doesn't make it a fair assessment of the art and the body of work, because it's subjective. I don't like country. So if I'm looking at a category, I'm not saying that I don't like country. I like country. But if I don't like country and I'm looking at a category that has a R&B, a pop, a country, blah, 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 I'm not going to vote for that country album. I'm not even gonna give it a time of day because I don't like country. Like,
You're right.
So it's no different. And 16,000 members, and it's the peers, right? So it's it's other artists, and other like executives, I guess. So it's just maybe they need a new voting system. Maybe
Maybe that.
Maybe they need a new way to determine these things. Maybe they need to. I don't know. I was about to say shrink it, but then that even would possibly get corrupted.
Well, like you said, to your point, if I don't, let's say I don't vote, and this is very reminiscent to our own voting system, right? If I don't vote, if I don't cast a vote, that's still a vote for the other person who we don't, whose people are going to vote for them, essentially, right? Because that's still, regardless, that's garnering more votes for them because that individual's people are going to vote. So if I don't vote at all, then the potential of my person, Beyoncé in this scenario, doesn't get enough votes to get the album of the year. So yeah. Hey, you make a great point.
So it's bigger questions to have. It's a bigger discussion to have. And my conclusion, before I get to that, someone said, remember when Diane Warren criticized Beyoncé via Twitter for having 20 writers on one song on Renaissance? She had to apologize. Others may feel the same. Absolutely. Perfect example. And feeling like, nah, she don't write. She don't even write her own stuff. Right. I'm not voting for her.
Yeah.
And
well, on the other hand, we have a Taylor Swift and a Adele who, they pour their heart and soul out into their songs. They write their songs they're the only writers. Yeah. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Yeah.
My conclusion to this and what I feel we need to do is stop chasing these awards. We need to go where we're accepted, go where we're respected, go where we're appreciated.
NAACP,
AKA, right? Like we got award shows like that who is specifically celebrating us, and you got these big name artists that don't even show up and go there, and you might get album of the year at the NAACP awards. I love that Monique during her Shannon Sharp interview, she looked at the NAACP awards as even greater than the Oscar. Even like she was like, it felt so good to get that award, and I just want us as a people to get to that. Like the Soul Train Awards used to be a big deal, like growing up. It was like one of them ones, like, yo, can't wait, start it out. And now the Soul Train Awards probably get like 10,000 viewers or something. Like it's like nobody goes there anymore. And these are the shows that's really giving you your flowers. We're going to their award shows who was predominantly white and expecting them to give us the same like respect. When have they ever?
Right.
When were we ever judged with the same stick and the same like manner? Like you got to do backflips and to get the same respect as somebody just standing there doing nothing. Like, so I that's my resolve to this. Can we please? This is my campaign to Hov and Beyonce directly. I want to see you at the NAACP awards. Like it would be so dope to see y'all in there. Y'all got the power and influence to make a show. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
but
just
she been there before?
more and like, yeah. She's been there before, but it's like we go to the not Oscars, but we go to the Grammys every year. We go to the AMAs every year. We go to like these other shows every time we're nominated. And why did we stop going to the NAACP? Because it's been a few years now.
Yeah, like, no, I agree with you.
So y'all got the power to, influence and show up. They even used to be at the BET Awards all the time. And that's when the BET Awards was like, it was like, again, lit. One of them shows where like, yeah, we need to see. And we still watch, but we just need to show up more for our things.
For our people. Right. This is created for us, by us. So let's just attend that. BET Awards, like all of that. Like, yeah, no, I agree. I think we still seeking this validation, like this acceptance among, our white counterparts.
Yeah.
Like if they don't accept us, if they don't acknowledge us, then we don't have the talent in which we've been gifted by God. We don't have that if they don't see it. And it's like, no, enough of that. Enough of that. That's why we have, like you said, our own shows that's recognized by us, that we see you. And do you notice how sometimes it's because the NAACP is usually after, right? Isn't it usually after those?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Awards? Yeah. So you see how, like, if they don't recognize our people, we're definitely recognized at the NAACP, and then you see, hey, such and such is winning X this person is nominated for this person, and we're like, dang, yes, we got it at the NAACP. So it's like you said, why not? Let's just go ahead and truly support that like we should.
Like if you're not nominated, that's one thing. Don't show up. You don't have to, but when you're nominated, show up.
Be there.
Show up. Show up. Yeah. It kind of makes people feel like certain people don't show up unless they know they're gonna win.
Unless they're gonna win, right? Yeah.
But it's like, show up. Like, get back to that if you care, right? And it seems you do, right? So it's like, if you care to win, show up. Show up.
Show up.
Show up.
Show up.
But I like that, like how artists like Drake, who's one of the ones that's like boycotting the Grammys or whatever. And the reason why, and Drake posted in his stories after the Grammys this year, and he said, all of you incredible artists, remember this show isn't the facts. It's just the opinion of a group of people whose names are kept a secret. Literally, you can Google it. He said, congrats to anybody winning anything for hip hop, but this show doesn't dictate in our world. And it's true. It doesn't make you or break you. Right. You're still, if you are one of them ones, it doesn't make you no different. I think Miley Cyrus said that during her acceptance speech. Like
she did.
I was great yesterday. I'm gonna be great tomorrow. Like this, don't put it all on this. And
please don't.
And I get it. Like, you want to fight the fight to be like for fairness and acceptance and all of that, equality, whatever. But when you're getting disrespected time and time again, what they say, what's that saying? Like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting over and again, different result.
Yep.
4 times they played in Beyonce face. 4 times.
All up in nothing.
4 times. And I could say that confidently because the work speaks for itself.
Right.
We're not just being biased. Like, who put out an album like the way Lemonade was out? Who put out an album the way Renaissance was put together and complete? Like, it was so meticulous and thought out. Like, come on. And then even the impact of it. Like, what album had as big of impact as that? Setting off a firestorm of trends. You got a whole like situation going on where people are dressing a certain way to go to the show. And like, it's just, the impact is insane. Like, if that doesn't constitute album of the year, like what does? What does? Someone said Diana Ross never won a Grammy and she truly moved the culture, influenced Beyonce. That says a lot. Yes, absolutely. Marvin Gaye wrote one of the most prolific albums ever, never won a Grammy for it. Only won 1 Grammy for Sexual Healing. That's subjective. thing.
Yeah, but still
It's,
doesn't
it's like
diminish the gift. That's what I'm saying. They
it's,
didn't win these so quote unquote coveted awards but that didn't diminish their gift.
yeah, no.
And so
No.
why we have to stop putting so much emphasis
Yeah,
on getting this,
we
you
have
know?
to. We have
Yeah.
to. Just continue to be great. You are one of them ones. You're definitely still gonna go down in history. You're as one of the greatest to ever do it.
Right.
And keep that same energy. Like Hov mentioned in his song, that year he was nominated for 8 and took home 0. He put in his song, tell the Grammys, F that over 8. Right? Like
right.
let's keep that energy. Like
yeah.
until they start putting respect.
Until you do right by me.
Like, yeah. Let's show up where we're appreciated and not where we're tolerated. Someone pointed out Hov made a statement drinking out of the Grammy. Yeah, he did that the last time he won too. I don't know if it was the last time he won, but this was like the second time he drunk out of the Grammy.
It's a sippy cup. Yeah,
sippy
that's
cup.
what I think about your Grammy.
Yeah, it's a sippy cup. Yeah. But yeah, that concludes our thing for this week. What's hot in these blogs?